So first, what I want to do is give some thank yous for all of you that prayed over this trip. I put a big push out for prayer on this trip in particular. I've been to a couple of different countries, but this one in particular because of the potential of getting into North Korea. That was my main goal, was to get into North Korea. And that did not happen, so I was disappointed for that not happening. However, I know that if God really wanted me in North Korea, He would have made a way. And there was nothing that I seen, no way at all. And I'll show you later. I got to see firsthand that you're not just getting in there. It's going to take God. So thank you for your prayers. I've got two cards here. I've got two cards, and these cards are so touching to me and my wife that came from this church, from the staff, from everybody here. So thank you so very much. And thank you very much for that. Yes. And so I tell you, wow, to take time and send a card to my wife, telling her you're praying for her, that's special. Jim and Sheila, would you stand up, please? This is Jim and Sheila, and of course, mentioned it. Jim is the associate pastor over at God's Shining Light Church, and Sheila, his wife, is the worship leader. And they were very instrumental in putting together prayer for this trip. They put together a 24-hour prayer list for this trip. And I tell you, that it's amazing. Amazing. Sheila also did a couple of songs for me that I was able to record and listen to during this trip. And I appreciate that very much. Thank you. And then last but not least, Jim Barrett, if you'd stand up, please. I know you're wondering, what did Jim do? Well, nothing yet. But word has it that Jim's going to be buying ice cream afterwards. So thank you, Jim. Anyways, North Korea has been on my heart for a long time. And the Lord asked me to carry a cross. He just said, take up your cross and follow me. That's all I heard. And when I heard those words, I just thought to myself about building a cross. Never seen anyone do it. And so it was kind of different. But I'm glad I did not ever see anybody do this because of the fact that the first time I did it, it was just a bad experience, and I would have quit. I would have said, God, I'm doing this because I seen someone else do it, and I can't, we're not doing this. But since I had never seen anything like that done, I knew that come from God, and I knew that this could be a way to witness and share the gospel with people. And for the past 4 years now, that's what it's been. And there have been 8 souls that I have been able to pray the sinner's prayer with, kneeling at that cross. And 8 is a small number in 4 years. But literally, tens of thousands of people have seen that cross, have come in contact with that cross. And, the way I see it, now I might be looking at it wrong, but the way I see it is when people see that cross, most people know what it represents. And it takes them to the cross of Calvary, and now they have to deal with it. So I don't have to verbally talk to every person. Jesus said in Mark 16:15, go into all the world and preach the gospel. Just simply go and tell them. Go and tell them. And so sometimes we think we've got to get them saved, but we don't. We don't have to get them saved. Our job is just to tell them. Go tell them that I love them. Go tell them that I died for them. That I shed my blood for them. That's all we have to do. and then let God do the rest. And you know, when we go do that, it takes the pressure off of us, of numbers. It takes the pressure off of us of thinking that we have to see results in order for the day to be successful. But we don't. And when the Lord laid North Korea on my heart, and then I believe spoke to me and told me to go to North Korea. And in some ways, I'll be wrestling with that for a long time. Do I go back? Do I go back in another direction and try and get in? I don't know. But I know that North Korea is on my heart. And so the best way I found or believe to go in would be through South Korea. So Seoul is why, what came up is why I went to Seoul in the first place. And while I was there, be carrying the cross, share the gospel, and looking for a way to get into North Korea. So Kim Jong-un, leader of North Korea, we've seen a lot out of this man. We've seen a lot of bad stuff. And possibly now for the past almost year, we're seeing a complete reversal. Maybe there's ulterior motives, we don't know. But this man is where I was headed. I have a Bible, should have brought that Bible, that I took there. I had a lady in Tulsa here owns a donut shop. She's from South Korea, over on, you're on 44, get off at Harvard, go north right there, in the same parking lot complex as Spirit Bank. There's a donut shop, Eli Donut, and she owns that, her and her husband, I believe. And she signed that Bible to Kim Jong-un, outside cover. She helped me write up another thing that I had with me, telling those people in Korean while I was there. But this is the man that I went to try and meet and get this Bible in his hands. As I was over there, information that those people have on Kim Jong-un is the fact that his grandmother was a Christian. She's not here no more, but was a Christian. Knowing that his grandmother was a Christian tells me that this man has probably had the opportunity to hear the gospel through her. So that's good news. But anyways, that was my main goal, was to get to him. My family, of course, my lovely wife Anita, and then our daughter Amy, and 2 years younger is our son JD, although he's the biggest. He's in the Marines, and he's actually stationed in Hawaii. I know that doesn't sound like a bad place, but when you're in the military, it's actually not as good as it sounds. But anyways, a very supportive family for us. And there's a story behind JD too, and I'm going to pass on that for this evening unless we have time. And so, day one, getting over there. Day two, I left Sunday morning, and I'm going to try and go fast through these, although, especially my wife knows me, I don't talk. I talk fast, but I have a lot to say. Anyways, okay, so we flew over there. Everything went great on the flight. Left Sunday morning at 6, got in there Monday afternoon at 4. It's a 14-hour head difference, so 6:30 here tonight. It's 8:30 in the morning right now on Thursday morning over in Seoul. And got in, it was raining, and no problem, got to my hotel. I took a taxi from the airport to the hotel, and it cost me $125. And so we tried to stay away from the taxis, and I took a bus back to the airport after it was all over, and that cost me $15. So, but anyways, Tuesday went out carrying the cross, and the thing about Seoul has 10 million people in it. 10 million. That is New York City. If you've ever been to New York City has a little over 8 million. So they even got more in Seoul. And you have people everywhere all the time. Cars, buses, it's amazing. And I'm in the downtown area, so I'm just covered with people. And but for the most part, they speak Korean, and I do not speak Korean, so the language barrier I knew would be an issue. But one thing I told God when I believe he told me to go to North Korea, I said, God, I'll go, but you have to send somebody with me or I'm not going. And that took me a few weeks to finally say, why am I putting restraints on God? If God's really telling me to go, then I just need to go, And if he provides somebody to go with me, that'd be great. I don't recommend going by yourself on any kind of mission trip like this. But I'm crazy, so at least that's what some people say. Jen, shut up. But anyways, I just, if God tells me to do something, then do it. And so, that's just my thinking. And so I took that off, and I said, God, I need an interpreter, I really need, be good, but you provide. And I did talk to a few people about going on this trip, and everyone was like, I don't think so. Anyways, so I knew that would be a problem, but however, number one is the cross has no language barrier. No language barrier. And so while the whole trip, I didn't talk to a lot of people. The cross talked to a lot of people. A lot of people. And the first evening, Tuesday evening, this man talked. He's in the purple, and he's a movie producer now. I don't know how much of a movie producer. I think an amateur trying to get started. And he came up and just was, all excited about what was going on. And so I started sharing the gospel with him, and I got to pray with him and see what we got here. And he's not a believer, and he was open to what I was saying, but he was more wanting to, because everybody I talked with, I showed him the Bible, I told him exactly what I'm doing here, and he was wanting to do a documentary. And I said, well, that's fine. I said, but I'm not here for a documentary. I'm not here as a tourist. I'm here to carry this cross and get into North Korea. So I said, whatever you need to do, but, that's, and so I spent a little time with them that evening, and then 2 days later, 2 days later, then we met up again, and I think I got a picture of that. And, but anyways, that was his goal. That was what he was about. And but I sowed a seed. On Wednesday was on what I call Gideon Day. And of course, I had my phone on international, where I could call just like I do here, and so I had a couple of conference calls with different people that I had to do, that I was able to do time-wise. And then this gentleman right here, this is Billy Lee. He is the executive director of international over in South Korea, and so he's over that country. And got to meet him, and that's the Bible, and it's hard to see the words, but the words are written right here to Kim Jong-un, and we got to pray with him and his team there at the headquarters office, and a wonderful group, and they also were praying every day for me and for this trip. They definitely were not excited about what I was doing, for the concern, because they know firsthand what goes on in North Korea, more so than we do over here. And so it was a big concern, about, going in. But he also explained to me, and another gentleman that's not in this picture, William Lee, an older gentleman that is just rolling off of the executive director position, both of them told me, look, if you get in there, you're not coming out. And besides that, you can't even get in. And you've got the U.S. military, you've got the South Korean military, and then if you were to get through both of them, you have the North Korean military, you've got a river, you've got two fences, And so, like I said, it was going to take God for that to happen. And while I'm like, God, you told me to cross. You told me to go in there. But if it was really God, I believe He would have made a way. Because I look at the human error. I'm human. And I make errors. And you be quiet. Anyways, so, that's why I had to put this in His hands. I had to say, God, I know the danger here, and I know somebody's got to go, but you're going to have to direct this. You're going to have to direct this, because I don't want to do something that I think I heard from God, and I didn't hear from God, and then I'm in a pickle, one that I won't be getting out of real soon. So anyways, that's a judgment that I had to make, and that's like I said, maybe down the road, try a different avenue. All right. This is again talk, and his one of his guys that works with him, CO. And this meal that I'm fixing to eat, this is a lunch. This is the one and only meal that I ate that is a Korean meal. And one thing in my trips that I've been really good about being careful of is not eating the food. I mean, I actually lost, I don't know, quite a bit, because my pants were about to fall off of me, even though they were snug when I left. When I went through security coming back, he said, hold your pants up. I ate what I could of this meal, but I do not want to go on these trips and then end up getting sick. And I had stuff. I make sure I have medicine for that reason, but I'm there for a purpose. I'm there for a job. I'm not there to eat. And so I take food, and I'll show you a deal. But anyway, so I can't tell you what's in front of me, but it was all right. This was the good meal. This is breakfast at the hotel. And I mean, they're fried potatoes. One day is going to be French fries. The next day it's going to be tater tots. And scrambled eggs, man, great scrambled eggs. Sausages. I've got breads with honey and jam. I've got yogurt and blueberry, bananas. And I tell you, I walk out of that breakfast buffet, I'm full. And it lasts me at least over half the day before I need anything. And then these energy bars, I get them at Costco. I take them home and individually package them in baggies for every day while I'm out and about, that I have something to put in my body. And so, anyways, that was my basic meals for the trip. All right, so Kwong and gave him a Bible and a tract, and just a gentleman that I met carrying the cross. I tried placing him. I should have. I can't back up. So, anyways, good. This gentleman here, Pope. He has everybody has a store. I mean, that's one thing about it. I met some homeless people, but very few homeless people. Most of these people have a store, and their home is like the second story, and they're there till they die. And Pope, one of them, he's got a wood shop there and has some good stuff as far as wood that he's made, and shared the gospel with him, and so he did not speak English, and then I think the last guy did not either. But when they don't speak English, it's hard to communicate. But I was able to communicate with them because I like to pray with everybody, and so I would say, I'd like to pray, and they would say yes, and they'd reach out their hand, I'd take their hand, and they'd start shaking. And I'd just start praying, because I knew they couldn't understand what I was saying, but once I started praying, they knew what I was doing, so that was neat. This is Cho. Cho is one of the workers at the hotel, and Cho was so open to the gospel. I know that Cho is just, the next seed is she's going to give her heart to the Lord. I know she is. And one thing I don't do is I do not force my belief on nobody. I don't pressure people into getting saved, giving their hearts to the Lord, even though I know it's so important. So important, because the Lord could come back today. And so, but on the other side of the coin is the fact that we turn people off when we try to force what we believe. And I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in doing what the Lord called, and that's go tell them. Go sow that seed and let God take care of the results. Let God take care of the results, because I want their, when they give their heart to the Lord, I want it to be real. I want it to be something that is there forever. I don't want them to think that all they got to do is pray a prayer and then they're saved and then they can go on with life and forget about God until they die and they'll see Him in heaven. I'm not interested in that. I want to make sure that they understand what they're doing and that it is a commitment, even though we're all going to make mistakes throughout our Christian walk, but it's a commitment to really follow God. Telephone booths, I just don't see them over here no more. I see the telephone booths, I'm like, wow. Oh yeah, this green, that's the closest I could come to a John Deere over there. And looky here.
There you go.
Thanks to Sheila. Oh my. And so Sheila did all this PowerPoint stuff, so I tell you, I just appreciate that. I'm computer challenged, so. My, okay, so let's see here what we got. Maybe want to read that a little bit. The homeless, hometown construction crew. Okay. So this gentleman right here, Bruce Luke, he was open to the gospel too. He's not a believer, did not accept the Lord at that time, but he was open, and he was so open. He said, "Can I carry the cross?" I said, "You bet you can." And so he carried the cross, and then I got a picture of him, and then we got this picture here, and that was just a beautiful picture with those buildings in the background there, and so that was really neat. But this gentleman's heart also, so tender, so ready, that it really excites me, both him and Cho, that knowing that the seed that I sowed in their lives is just, I mean, the next time they're going to give their heart to the Lord at some point, real close, real soon. And so anyways, let's see, what do we got here? Invested. This is Sunday. Never jogged with the cross. I couldn't jog with the cross. I barely could carry it in some of the times. I probably did. This was a homeless gentleman that I came across and gave him a little food and a tract. And so, you know, one of the things that I try to do is, the saying is, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so, you know, one of the, especially someone that's homeless, it's so easy to help them a little bit. Not financially as much as give them some food. Give them some food. There's a couple later I'll show you I took into the grocery store, but give them some food. And then they're open to the gospel. They're open to hear what you got to say, you know. And so that was neat to be able to do that. And this is Joy. I met her, this is Sunday, the first Sunday. I didn't go to church the first Sunday, not because I'm a heathen, I might be, but nevertheless, I didn't go to church because I couldn't find a church. And I came across this lady in the evening, and she goes to a church. Not only does she go to a church, she goes to a church that speaks English. I'm like, wow. I said, I'll be there next week. And she gave me a bulletin from that day. And it was, the church where she goes was just maybe, what, a mile and a half down the road. It's real close. And so that was neat. And got to have a good little fellowship time with this lady. And it was an inspiration to her, what I was doing. And she was just going on her way to go meet a lady and minister to this lady that had problems, situations, and so I was able to give her a Bible to give to that lady, and that was neat. Okay, what do we got here? Oh, yeah. So, on Monday, as I was going along, there was a hotel I walked by, and there was some police motorcycles, and then some black limousines, and I was like, I wonder if that ain't the President in there, and I'm pretty sure it was, but anyways, then more motorcycles showed up, and what have you. I came across these 4 officers, and I walked up to them and asked if anyone spoke English. One of them did, and I told them I just want to thank you guys for your service, and then I offered them a gospel tract, but they refused to take a gospel tract. But at least they appreciated that I appreciated what they were doing. And so, okay. She actually printed these out. Okay, so this is a homeless lady, and I was able to give her some food. There was a guy earlier that gave me, I don't know what it was, some kind of food, and I gave her that, and she knew right away what it was. And was glad to take it. There's a store right there. I went in, got her fresh bottle of water. Just the homeless that you see are homeless. And I never, maybe I just wasn't in the right spot. I never seen a place, a shelter or something for them. So, you know, I don't, but anyways, okay, this is very interesting. So, the gentleman in the white shirt, okay, his name is James. Now, James was standing, and this right here, the picture, Sheila, I know it, I've seen it a couple times, but it seems like it's disappeared. I'm not sure. The first one I took. And he's holding this, that thing out, and it's got a bunch of words on it. And I took a picture of it. But anyways, and I think the reason when I tell you, maybe that's why it's disappearing, but I don't know. But anyways, he speaks English, and I stopped and started to talk to him for a minute, and he was explaining what he was doing. Because one of the things I like to do is try and just strike up a conversation a little bit about what's going on with him. And he was holding this deal, this sign basically, and he said several years ago the government came into my business and went through a whole business and took a bunch of stuff, and then charged me with tax evasion. I had to spend a couple of years in jail. And he said, I'm protesting the government. This is the IRS building right here, and I'm protesting the government. And that's why I'm thinking maybe that's being deleted from my system because of what's on that. I can't read what's on it. Maybe, I don't know. But anyways, so I shared the gospel with James, and it was like, it was amazing. Me and Anita, we was over here at Tulsa Hills, and one day having lunch at Ted's, and this waitress, it was this amazing. I mean, I've only seen it now 2 times, where they just fall into the kingdom. I mean, and maybe like Cho and the other gentleman, that they'll be like that too, but he's just like, yeah, I want to get saved. And I'm like, I'm thinking, what? What did I say? I'm serious. But I got to pray with this gentleman, and after we got done praying, he takes that he was holding and he folds it up. He folds it up. And then after we get done talking, he leaves. I'll go this way, he goes this way. I'm looking back and I'm like, he's leaving. I mean, he is like, in my opinion, what I'm thinking is he's like, okay, this life's over. I'm done with this. I don't need to do this. Because I told him, God will help you through this. I will help you do this. And he folded it up and left. I'm like, wow. Wow, it really had meaning to him. Anyway, so the odd thing about this gentleman, and Sheila, you remember I said I think I might have talked to an angel. This is the man. This is the man. The reason I have a reason to believe this guy could be an angel is for this fact. That he told me, he said, before we parted, he said, oh, by the way, the embassy's just over there, pointing that way from where he's at. And that's where I was kind of heading, at the U.S. Embassy. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. No, you need to go to the embassy. You need to go to the embassy. And I'm like, yeah, okay. No, I'm serious. You need to go to the U.S. Embassy. 3 times he's telling me to go to the U.S. Embassy. And I thought that was strange. Why? Why 3 times? I don't know. So I'm like, okay, I'll go. So after we parted, I go looking for this building. And he told me it's just right over there. It's just that building right over there. Okay, so I go looking. I go down the street, turn, and I'm thinking that I'm going to see this sign that says U.S. Embassy. And I see this building, and I don't see any U.S. Embassy sign. And I'm pretty sure it's about right where he was pointing. And then I see 2 police officers down at the corner. So I walk down to these police officers and I say, excuse me, do either one of you speak English? And they looked at me and they didn't. I thought, well, I'm just going to say U.S. Embassy because it's around here somewhere and they would know. They would, you know. I said, can you tell me where the U.S. Embassy is? And I no more got that out of my mouth and I got a tap on the shoulder. And I turned around and it's this guy right here. He says, you need to come with me. And I'm like, who are you? He said, I'm a police officer. You need to come with me. And I'm like, okay. So I pick up my cross and we walk away from those police officers and go over to the side. And he says, why are you asking about the U.S. Embassy? And I'm like, well, the guy told me it was over here somewhere, so I want to know where it's at. He said, what are you doing here? So I pull out my Bible. Now, you got to get the picture. You got to get the picture here. This guy is an undercover agent. He's Secret Service. And this is his area to watch around that U.S. Embassy. And he sees this guy come walking, carrying a cross. And he's like, what do we got here? So, he is suspicious. So he comes over and drags me away from those officers. And when I pull the Bible out and show him the Bible that says to Kim Jong-un, he's like, okay, now we really got to cook. And I mean, he gets on his phone and he starts talking to somebody, and there was somebody in the U.S. Embassy. And then after a little while of conversation, then he hands the phone to me, and they want to talk to me. They speak good English, some lady. She said, who are you and what are you doing here? So I told her, I mean, I'm not holding nothing back. I really want my information to them because, hey, maybe they can help me. So I told her, I said who I was and what I'm doing here. I'm here to see Kim Jong-un of North Korea, and I've got a Bible for him. Anybody that has a Bible that wants to get into North Korea and go see the leader with that, yeah, we got a problem. and so finally she says, I want to talk to the other guy. So I give the phone back to him. He talks to her for a little bit, hangs up. He says, you stay right here. Don't go nowhere. You stay right here. I'm like, no problem. So I'm waiting. He leaves. Then he comes back with another guy in uniform. And this guy wants to see all my information, wants to know what I'm doing here. So same thing. I showed him my passport, gave him one of my business cards, and showed him the Bible. And so finally he says, he says, this is a free country. He said, but we want you to stay away from the U.S. Embassy. and so I said, well, I understand, because I'm not there for trouble, And I know what it's like. This guy is either really crazy or he's a terrorist. And this is just a front. But this is not normal. And so he's like, stay away from the U.S. Embassy. And I said, well, I tell you what, if you can help me, what's that? I said, help me get this Bible, Kim Jong-un. Well, I can't do that. I said, okay. Well, anyway, so here's my point. James, the man that gave his heart to the Lord, could be just a regular individual that gave his heart to the Lord, prompted by the Spirit of God to tell me to go to the U.S. Embassy. Or James could be an angel. If he's an angel, something will come of the U.S. Embassy. Something hasn't come yet, but they got all my information. In fact, I guarantee you, before that was over, they knew when I was born, where I was born, who I married, how many kids I got, what job I work, and everything. They know it all. Because they look me up and say, who do we have here? Who is this person? What's he doing here? Anyway, so if he's an angel, there's a purpose for it. It wouldn't be just to go stir up the nest over there, But that is yet to be seen. So the jury's out on that. If something ever happens, then yes. If nothing does, then he's just gentleman that gave his heart to the Lord, and it was just odd that that happened. So we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, that was an interesting day. That was a neat day, and so I immediately got on the phone, told Anita what was going on, sent Phil and Sheila a text and prayed, because this is what's went on, and you know, don't know what's going to come up. So the U.S. Embassy is that building right there, and so anyways, that's pretty neat. But I went there to sightsee, and then Sheila and Phil got on to me because I wasn't taking enough pictures. I'm not here to sightsee. What do we got? Okay, newspaper, pastors. Okay, so 17. We need to move on. This is just a good site, beautiful site across there, beautiful. This is pastor that I met, doesn't speak English. This is his associate, the other gentleman. Pastor wanted to carry the cross, so he did, and that was just a neat experience there. And so just to show you the back alleys, every road, every back road, I mean, there was people and buildings and businesses everywhere. And the cars came down in between what you would call a back alley with people in them and motorcycles, and it's just like chaos all day long. But man, they had more restaurants and just businesses everywhere. It's amazing. Okay, and this was a gentleman, I believe to be a homeless man, selling bubble gum. And so lots of bubble gum, but I didn't take the bubble gum. He appreciated that and was able to give him a gospel tract. He didn't speak English. It ministered to him. And so, let's see, this is a Christian man. He's got a little speaker box and a microphone, and he's just there on the street corner just sharing the gospel. And so, that's not my cup of tea, but anybody that's willing to share the gospel, even though it goes against what we think and how we think it should be done, man, we need to be with them. We need to support them. All right. This is Saturday, the second week. I took a tour over to North Korea, or at least to the border. This is North Korea. Was able to get some pictures of it, and so that's what that is North Korea. And this is the bus driver of our tour. He's a Christian, and it's just to share with those that are and aren't, and encouraged him. Let's see. Okay, so. One of the things about over there at the border, they have a train tracks all ready to go from right there at the border, South Korea, going into North Korea all the way to Pyongyang for their capital. But no trains on it yet because they haven't made any agreements. But eventually they will, where that train, they'll get trains going and running to Pyongyang and back. This is a church, that church that Joey goes to. This is the First United Methodist Church, and got to go there on the second Sunday and had a great service. And what do we got? These are the two homeless men, and come across them on Monday, and Monday was dedicated mostly to searching out homeless and trying to help them. And so took the one gentleman that's standing into a grocery store right there in the corner, and I said, and they didn't speak English, so I had to, try. I said, what do you need? What, anything? What do you want? And he goes over, he opens this glass refrigerator door and picks out this bottle, and I said, hang on, let me look at it. Oh, that's wine. No wine. Anything else? No wine. And so he got him some coffee, and the other guy and whatever else. But we're not doing one. But anyways, this gentleman is broke down right there. I mean, right there, and you can't see it, but right back to the right back here is traffic just backed up, and traffic's busy anyways. He's got a flat tire, and the next slide will show I went over and helped him with the tire, but the strange thing, I helped him with the tire and tried to hurry to get him off this road and got that other tire thrown in the back there, and then I come back to the cross, and I'm watching him, and it's like he's trying to hold up traffic because he's standing there monkeying at the truck for, it seemed like 5-10 minutes. And I'm like, what's he doing? I don't know. Anyways, so just a couple of great views. Buildings are amazing there, what they've got. And the statue way in the back right there is a general back in the 18-somethings when Japan was trying to invade them, that he rescued South Korea from Japan, is what that statue is. And then when I boarded the bus to go to the airport on Tuesday morning, President Moon was flying to Pyongyang to meet with Kim Jong-un for a 3-day summit. And they were showing had a big TV right in the front of the bus that showed live that he had landed in Pyongyang, and they showed all the festival of Kim Jong-un meeting President Moon out there at the airport, and just a huge deal. That was pretty neat. And this is Lily down in Dallas on my way back. Lily, my goodness, she helped me with getting miles on my deal. And then I told her, I said, Lily, you've been such a help. I said, I got a gift for you. And I pulled out a Bible. And she said, you don't know how I needed this today. And I said, well, that's great, Lily. And I opened it up and showed her the section of helps in the front and the plan of salvation in the back. She said, oh, I'm a believer. I said, well, praise God, Lily. I said, I want to pray for you. I said, you mentioned that you really needed this. Can you tell me what's going on? What can we pray about? And she said, there's just some things going on. And I said, that's fine. There's some decisions you need to make. I said, that's good enough. And so got to pray with her. Tender believer. Oh, it was awesome. And this was my welcoming home party. Of course, my wife and our daughter, Amy, and her little dog, Aloe, cute little dog. And a little German Shepherd, and then Phil and Shirley Francis. Phil just rolled off as the state president of the Gideons this spring, and when I joined in 3 years ago, when we joined, met him and Shirley, and we just been great friends ever since. And so they came out and met us there at the airport. That was Tuesday evening. I said, man, this flight ain't going to take long. It's only going to take me a couple hours because I boarded the plane at 5:30. Well, we actually took off at 5:30 Tuesday afternoon. And by 7:45 Tuesday, it was at 8:15 Tuesday evening, I'm in Tulsa. So, less than 3 hours, I mean, that's a quick flight. Jim, you can go there anytime. But anyways, seriously, thank you for your prayers. Like I said, and other trips that I'll be taking, I love prayer, I need prayer, want prayer, but not as important as what this trip could have been had I ended up in North Korea. And so, really, thank you for your prayers. And we've seen one soul come to the Lord, but we really don't know. We really don't know what all took place. But we will on that day. We will on that day. And I am so glad that I was willing to go. I'm glad I'm back home. But I'm disappointed I did not get into North Korea to this man. But I'm glad that he has probably had that opportunity. And I'm glad that I was faithful to go and to be available and ready to do what he asked me to do. Because when I stand before him, I don't want him saying, how come you didn't go? Well, God, it costs too much. God, I would have had to spend 2 weeks away from my family, away from, I got deer hunting, I need to go deer hunting and I don't have that much vacation, or I don't want to do that. I want to be faithful is what he's asked me to do. And so, that's the important part. And I want you to think about your life, to think about where you're at, what God has called you to do, and to make sure that you don't let anything stop you or hinder you from fulfilling that call. Our job isn't to our job is just simply to hear God, hear what he's asking us, and then go and do what we can. Be there, be ready, and let God work through us. Let God work through us. Because just like me, maybe I really didn't hear him like I thought I did. I don't know. But maybe James, the gentleman that gave his heart to the Lord, will be the one to get into it. Or somebody that's seen that cross that inspired them to go into North Korea. I don't know. But just to say, God, here am I, use me. Here am I, use me. And make ourselves available in every situation.